All right, let's do a mic check real quick. Mic check 1, 2. Yeah, the audio's not going to be great on this one. It's road trip edition. Over the last 5 days, I've seen insurmountable evidence of what I've suspected for a long time. The amount of fear that these entities have of us, I really underestimated greatly. What I've seen firsthand in this last week has shown me without a doubt that the more awareness you have of what this place is, what's going on here, and the stronger intention you have to be free, the more difficult they will make it to reach any type of freedom outside of the cage that they have set as your life script. And they will go to incredible lengths and output immense energy to torture you psychologically. And I don't think that's as far as they would go, but it's as far as they went in this experience. But they don't want to have to go to the lengths of physical intervention unless it's absolutely necessary. And the way they set things up is so that they don't usually have to do that. They usually can just go the psychological route. So this is the first time that Christina and I have ever been in the same place. It's our first time meeting in person. And leading up to us meeting in person, the interference that I had experienced, so we'd first talked about setting out on a trip to get as far away from our respective cages as possible and see what the effect would be, and ultimately see if we could completely sever our tie to the cage entirely. And when she first reached out to me on Friday, the interference that I experienced was nothing less than absolute mayhem. The environment and the perspective that I was experiencing, it was like the most intense psychedelic trip times 100. And it did everything it could to keep us from even meeting. To both of us. And the thing that was really interesting was the oscillation, how it would target one of us and then go to the other.
So when one wasn't ready, the other wasn't at the same time.
Right. When it laid off, the interference and distortion, when it died down, I would find a place of peace and acceptance of whatever the outcome is. And then it would basically be shifting and focused on you. The intelligence that's governing this place prefers that everything stay in an automatic state. That we stay in the automatic script, that we don't get out of the loops that it has for us, the predictable patterns that it already has mapped out. It already has everything under control. It knows that if we do this in this, cage, there's not many things that'll deviate from that path and that script. And I've seen firsthand over this last 5 days that when you try to move out of those scripts, it'll do anything to prevent that. The depth that we've experienced this entity over this last 5 days has gone beyond even my out-of-body experience of meeting one of these entities. It's completely amplified the experience in so many ways that its main goal right now is to keep this information even out of our own perspective, to have us forget everything that we've experienced over this last 5 days. And the whole point of doing the show right now isn't for any other reason than to say, fuck you. That this supposedly powerful intelligence governing this realm wants us to be subservient to it, and yet we can't even talk about what it does. That does not exude power, that exudes cowardice. And the experiences that we've shared on this trip the last few days has proven to me beyond any doubt the level of terror and fear that we experience here is nothing compared to how they feel about us taking our freedom back, about having our own choice outside of what they prescribe within this reality. That is the one and only thing that they will do just about anything to prevent. So if we go back to Friday, how can you describe what you were experiencing in terms of how you went from being ready to the interference? Because I know they really hit me on Friday, and then Saturday is when they oscillated back to you.
So really it even started before Friday, because we had been talking about leaving before Friday, and it had been something we tossed around. You were more ready before Friday, I was not. And the interference, I'd say it was like medium. But then I got into a place of like, no, let's just do this. Let's just try it out. So Friday I still had doubts, but I was ready to pick up and go. And Friday, you were used heavily against me because of how heavily you got attacked, which was a pattern the entire time we were together. You would get hit really, really hard, which would create a lot of doubt and guilt within me. But Friday, I would say it wasn't just psychological. There were a lot of physical aspects. We felt, Saturday for both of us, we felt extremely hungover. We had symptoms in the head, dizziness, the tremors. Remember, we both experienced that. Severe body tremors, like a low blood sugar times 10. So there were physical interventions in the body, but I would say that the psychological aspect that they played on was they used every single lever that they had to try to prevent us from leaving. So that's how it started a couple days before Friday, and then Friday to Saturday, because by Saturday you were a little bit more ready, but I had to take a whole day of recovery after the oscillation of interference. I mean, it felt like I got the shit beat out of me, on top of the fact that I felt like it was like the worst hangover you could have, and it took a whole day of recovery from that.
So then by the time Sunday rolled around, we kind of talked about, like, I think previously we had talked about on Saturday that it's just going to keep going back and forth. It's going to hit one of us, and then it's got to focus on the other one, which I found very interesting. That didn't change really. Even when we were in proximity to each other, it still had to oscillate between one and the other. It didn't have the ability to put 100% effort into both of us at the same time. And Saturday we talked about, well, there's just going to be we got to realize that it's not going to allow alignment for both of us at the exact same time. So I said, when you're ready, just move towards me, and then we're going to have to work around, like, when it's hitting me, you'll be driving. When it's hitting you, I'll be driving. And that's pretty much how we moved. Was it would get so intense for the one driving usually that we would have to pull over and let the other one drive. And at first, we thought that it was about the intended destination. And it really wasn't even the intended destination. It was just the fact that we were moving further and further away from the prison that they had built for us in terms of the structure of our life that we're living now. And the further we moved away from that prison, the more intense the interference got. I think where did we make it to? How far did we go from Ohio?
We went all the way from Ohio to Oklahoma. We got close to New Mexico.
Right. We almost made it to New Mexico. But by that second day of traveling, it had hit you so hard, you were like in the back seat and not even sure if you could even sit passenger seat while I drove. And I think by the time we made it that far, it had already been working so hard on us all it wanted us to do was turn around. Just turn around. That's all it wanted.
The entire time. Yep.
And the entire time we would stop and we'd push through it and we'd keep going. And it would kind of play off a little bit, but the further we got in the trip, it was like it almost started to like be nice for like a minute before it actually really hit with the physical symptoms again.
Yeah. So we had maybe 2 periods of time where we felt calm about what we were doing, and that was at the start of it, and then when we first got into Oklahoma before they hit me super hard with the body stuff. But by the time we got to day 2, the cumulative effects on the mind and body had surmounted to like such an extreme point. And when we say we had to stop, it wasn't just once or twice. The interference was so intense that first night. I mean, I can't even count how many times we had to stop. It was a lot of times. We had to stop, work through it, talk it out, keep going, rinse and repeat. And by day 2, they finally started to they wrote off my calm nature of I don't really care what the outcome is. I'm okay either way. But they kind of hijacked into that to say, well, it's okay if you turn around. It's going to be okay if you turn around and go home. Which was the first time in days they had even tried a softer approach. It had been heavy and intense the entire time. So when I pushed through the softer approach, they warned me right before they did it, and they said, we don't like having to do this to you. And it was all out, full body tremors. Again, like a low blood sugar, but it was worse than before we left. Cold sweats, my vision got blurry, and it was right when we hit into Oklahoma City, wasn't it? So busy highway, like a 5-6 lane highway, people everywhere, and I could hardly see, could hardly fucking keep my hands on the steering wheel. And we finally stopped, and I collapsed in the back, and I just decided I've reached my limit. I probably could have pushed through, but I had reached my physical and mental limit of how much interference I could take after days and days of just, beating the absolute shit out of us. But that doesn't even really cover, you had some extreme physical symptoms the first night. They hit you, I think, harder the first night than they hit both of us combined, with the psychological and the physical symptoms.
You're talking about Friday?
No, the Sunday night.
So much of it's a blur.
Sunday night was, I think, the hardest for you when you were you were in the passenger seat. We were considering turning around. You were really they had you almost beating yourself up over it, just in a psychological fucking haze. But you had a period of time where your vision was not good. You were dizzy. And that was one of the times we had to stop. I had to be in the driver's seat and you had to be in the passenger seat. But it became a point where the original intent that we did it for became totally skewed. It was we could hardly even think about the original reason we left to begin with.
Right, there was so much interference, all we could do was just sit there and try to combat that. That's all it's been, is a fucking battle of well, we control you and we're going to get you to do what we want you to do anyway. You might as well just do it and stop making it so hard on yourself. And the entire trip, it was like we were calling out the narrative as they were pushing it, dismantling it, and then they would just find another angle. And a lot of it was just straight up energetic interference. Like, it's for those that don't experience this type of thing, that don't know what it's like to directly interact with the intelligence governing this place. There's no way to really describe what that interference is like.
I think it was almost harder to deal because there were times where there wasn't a story attached. A lot of times they were attaching narratives with words in the thought form and attaching that with a feeling. But there were times where they would push, there were no words, there was no narrative. It was like an overwhelming sensation. Sometimes it was like impending doom. Sometimes it was just anxiety. Sometimes it was like a feeling of shame and guilt over, for you, I think it was your family was a big one. And there were people. There were times where they used, for me, it was an individual that messaged me saying just absolute fucking nonsense that didn't make sense. And for you, it was your family that called you. Where are you at? Are you going to be back?
There was a point where they made it very clear that we were going to reach a point where they were going to physically intervene. And that was where the impending doom really started.
Oh, shit, you're right. I totally forgot about that. They were threatening to take you out. Wasn't it? Yeah, they threatened to take you out to both of us. They were very clear. They were going to take you out, and then I would be left alone.
Yeah, they were giving me heart palpitations and pain, really attacking the physical heart. And I was just like, well, fucking do it then. It's just a threat. Most everything they do is a hollow threat. Because they don't want to have to do something that's going to potentially work out worse for them. There's no scenario where they take me out and it's better. They want us in the cage no matter what. No matter what. It's for someone that is already integrated with this place, that's already bought into any narrative, any story, it's no problem for them to get out of the body. No problem. Someone that hasn't reached a level of compliance that they absolutely desperately need for some reason, it will be almost impossible to get out of that body. It'll be almost impossible.
Well, even like the comparison of taking a road trip, right? Like I used to travel all the time, but I was with a designated handler, someone they could work through. So there was never that issue. I could take a road trip just fine. It was combined intent with whatever we are together towards, because the intent was very much, we're done being in the cage. That was the initial intent. And the intent combined with the individuals doing it was not an approved, it was just not approved, and it was very obvious. I mean, pretty much the entire time it wanted us to turn around. I mean, I can't even remember an instance where it wasn't pushing for us to turn around at all.
No. The craziest part to me is like, I can't even recount 90% of what happened. Like they have done a masterful job of erasing. And when I say like, it was every minute we were calling out exactly what they were doing, the narrative they were pushing,
in real time.
It was some of the best work I've ever done. And it's just a goddamn shame I can't really recount it and share it, because it's the only work that's worth fucking doing here, is to say no to these motherfuckers. That's it. Because everything that we do within the cage, within our box, within our little prison that we call life, that's what they want us to be doing. That's us saying yes to the fucking rapist, who's going to take what they want whether or not we say yes anyway. And when I set out on this, it was, someone needs to fucking stop them. Someone needs to say no in a way that they can't ignore it and it affects them in a very detrimental way. That's what they need. Because they're not going to stop on their own. They need to be stopped. And obviously they don't like that intent. So when we decided to turn around, 100% of the interference of the injections of thought, emotions, the hijacking of the nervous system, all that stopped.
Almost instantaneously.
It
was like...
After 5 or 6 days of that happening nonstop, it was instantly gone. And since then, all it's been is a recompression back into fitting our energy, back into the story, the cage, the fucking hamster wheel that is our individual perspective lives. But after being out of that cage for a few days, we both talked about how much easier it is to see how they've manipulated our perspective to limit options to, well, this is the only thing that works. And being out of that cage for just a few days makes me realize that none of it makes sense. None of it works. There is no good option to either stay or leave this fucking place. There's no good option. It's set up like that on purpose. Every option is a bad choice. And it's all going to feel bad. And it leaves me at this place of like, well, if it's all a bad fucking choice, what's the lesser of the bad choices? To stay and be a fucking slave, to be harvested on, to be manipulated, to be puppeted, or take that leap of faith. And even attempting to move towards taking that leap of faith, the level of interference that someone's going to experience, if they have any level of sovereignty about them, is going to be beyond what they're going to expect. It was far beyond, and I've experienced a lot of fucking interference in this life. I've seen people become possessed and the fucking system itself speak through them to me. I've seen a lot of interference in this life, and it was nothing compared to what I've experienced these last few days. But it shows me one thing. The level of cowardice that they really have, anything that I've ever been afraid of in my life, I've never been as afraid of anything in this world as they are of us saying no. I'm not going to be your puppet. I'm not going to live in this fucking slave system anymore. That's what terrifies them. Because when you're not in their system, when you're not on their hamster wheel, they don't know what you're going to do. And every minute you move towards something that they don't know what you're going to do, that's a threat to them.
And that was the part too, like, almost the entire time we both said, I don't know. I don't know how far we're going to make it. I don't know what we're going to do when we get there. We had ideas, but how many times throughout that entire trip did we say, I don't know? Probably hundreds of times. I don't know.
I don't know. We had to keep using that to cut through because it's like, man, they're really pushing me to tell you to turn around. What do you think we should do? And it was just like, I don't know. I don't either. Let's just keep going then.
We just kept pushing through every time. And that would piss them off more when we would get close to turning around and then we'd just be like, let's just go a little bit farther. Let's just go a little bit farther. Until we made it, we drove probably, over 1,000 miles. But every time we would push through, then we would experience an increase in that pressure. And you could tell we got to a point close to Oklahoma where it was like there was something they were holding out on doing that we could both feel. It was like an uneasy feeling that they were willing to do more if they had to. If they had to pull out some extra physical, environmental stopper, they would have done it. If we would have went farther, they definitely would have.
So one of the most intense parts was before we even left on Friday, when we were talking about it, and they were showing me things in the environment and fucking with my perception of the environment so heavy that it was, at one point, everything started turning black, and then at another point it was like cataracts started superimposing over my eyes. Everything started turning white. They were showing me different characters. They were showing me different entities. They were showing me light beings, dragons, fucking monsters. They were showing me all kinds of shit, trying to get me to say, no, I don't think this is a good idea. They were trying to really show me like, oh, we could make this anything, but we're not making it as bad as we could make it. And I think the only reason that is because they put so much work into the narratives that if they were to change any part of it, they'd have to change every part of it, and that's just too much effort for them. Too much energy to expend when they could just try to force us back into the original cage. For anyone that doesn't know that these entities are absolutely more afraid of you than you've ever been of anything, just try to move out of your cage. Try to move out of the normal pattern. Have a real intention to say, I'm not going back to my cage, and see what happens.
And I mean, we did it under severely constrained circumstances. I mean, my circumstances are severely constrained, and so are yours. And so there was a level of discomfort in getting it done. Really just getting up to do it in general, because they condition you to be comfortable. And I'm not talking like just going and doing something different, going to a different, I'm talking like go far away. The intent was get far away out of the Midwest and go somewhere else. And see, we were okay if it was the last thing that we did. We weren't sure. We were fine with that.
They weren't fine with that.
They were not fine with that. They were absolutely not okay with it.
Because they didn't know what we were going to do.
Yeah. But they rely on predictability, because predictable behavior keeps you in line and in order. And there were a lot of possibilities of things that could have happened, things that we could have done while being away from the cage. Things that they couldn't predict, things we didn't even know, but they didn't know it, and that was the problem. It wasn't the problem that we didn't know, it was the problem that they didn't know exactly what was going to occur. But for most of your life, especially anyone that is aware of what's going on, you're very predictable. They know how you're going to respond, they know what you're going to do from day to day, and they have set limits and boundaries on what you can and can't do without extreme interference. And it became very obvious to me what the bounds of my actual cage were. There are a set amount of people I'm allowed to go see without interference. In fact, encouraged to see. There are places I'm allowed to go without interference. I mean, I'm still kind of always getting fucked with in the normal ways, but this wasn't that. This was the maximum amount of pressure that they could do on the mind and the body without totally collapsing the entire thing. And I would say they towed that line pretty much the entire time.
Yep. So one of the things we were talking about earlier was the energetic field that's around our prisons, right? Like when you go to your house, there's a compression field. When I go to my house, there's a compression field. And just leaving that area doesn't completely negate what that field is designed to do. And it was like the further we got away in distance from those areas, the more they panicked, but the more that certain conditioning started to dissolve, which only increased their panic over us.
But there were emotional things. The further away we got, I would say for me and for you, it would put this emotional overwhelm over a person within the life script, within the cage, that I had separated from a long time ago. But because I was getting further away from the cage, they could still pull that lever, or it was me getting further away from that prior attachment. But I would say same for you, the overwhelm of actually getting away. It's almost like a like Stockholm syndrome type emotional overwhelm of like, you're not really homesick, because the whole intent was to get out of the cage, but the emotional overwhelm of the sensation of getting away from the cage there was a period of time where that was really hard for both of us.
Well, and if there was no one else interjecting, it wouldn't be difficult. It's the constant injection of implanted fucking energy, thoughts, I don't know how it all works. I don't care how it all works. At the end of the day, it's an imposition that we didn't ask for, and that actually we asked to stop. And the fact that it doesn't stop, that it keeps pushing, that it keeps saying, I own you, you're my object. When we turned around, the pressure stopped, but then the condensing of our field began.
It was like snap of a finger, instantaneous. It wanted us to be like an artificial sense of like happiness about going back to our cages, which we could both sense like there was nothing authentic about it. There was nothing real about it. But almost instantly trying to get us to energetically buy back in to the old script. And it sat for a while, and then we slept, and then the next day it was like, yeah, the same authentic feeling of like, yeah, I'm done being an object, I'm done being a prisoner in a cage. That was the authentic feeling. But initially, as soon as we turned around, they overlaid this false sense of like relief and security and being back.
I think it is authentic, but I think it's theirs. I think that's their relief, right? And the terror of us leaving the cage, that's their terror, and they just superimpose it on us. Because I'm not attached to it. I don't want to do any of this bullshit anymore. I'm over it. I don't need to be in a reality that's designed to torture and steal from me. I'm not here to decide that for others, but for me, I'm done with it. I don't give a shit about going and doing anything here. I'm done with it. It's over for me. This place is a fucking scam. There's nothing here that's worth the energy that it takes to get to a position of even just not being fucking homeless. It's not worth it. It's taking more than it's ever going to give, and it's only getting worse. It's only taking more from everyone. I just don't see many that are honest about it. People bitch about it, but they're not honest about, well, this isn't working for me anymore. And they're never going to give us an option that actually works for us. They don't even really compromise. The only way that you get any kind of compromise, you lay out the conditions. Okay, well, either I'm doing this, or I'm doing nothing. And then you say, and that's what to do. That's really to do. But even this live was hard to do. They didn't want me talking about any of this, and I haven't gotten to talk about really any of it. It's a real shame that we couldn't just record the whole thing, because it's so revealing. The experience of trying to leave the cage has been more revealing. Any supernatural, any out of body, none of it compares to just trying to get out of the fucking script and seeing how they react to that.
What did they react? Oh my fuck, dude. But you could feel a sense of desperation behind it, because there were times where it was more aggressive. There were times where it sometimes almost made sense, but there was always an underlying sense of desperation. And really the whole thing, anytime they were pushing heavy interference.
Well, there was also a point where we were both like, well, it doesn't make sense to keep going, but it doesn't make sense to turn around. It doesn't make sense to do any of this. None of this makes sense. And that's why I think does require further dissection. Because the truth is, none of this makes sense. It doesn't make sense to keep doing any of it. If you recognize that you are an eternal being that's not dependent on one goddamn thing in this fucking reality, then how could doing anything here make sense if it's not what you want to be doing? And if you find out that there's nothing here you want to do because it all takes more than it gives, it's all a scam, the fine print always says, oh, by the way, you're going to get fucked in the end by everything you've ever thought was for you here, then how could it make sense to do anything here? It doesn't. The only thing that makes sense about here is for here to not fucking exist. Because it doesn't make sense for anyone. I mean, even the fucking parasites running it, it doesn't make sense. To be in constant fear that one of your slaves is going to say, oh, I don't want to be a slave anymore, and then you have to put in so much effort and energy to get them back on track in their fucking hamster wheel, it doesn't make sense. That's not an enjoyable existence. Whether or not they cling to it because they're terrified fucking cowards doesn't make it enjoyable.
And it was an overwhelming amount of energy. Like, there's sometimes where you can tell you're kind of on an automatic. I think you said it really, like, you said it the best, I think yesterday. Like, automatic interference, almost like just a machine running. There's nothing really having to put in effort. It's just automatic. But this was real, actual, in real time energy being put into what they were doing.
Well, they're working on the fly. There was an audience. There was a point where we both recognized that there were so many of them watching us, and all of them were pushing different buttons and levers, you know. And then they had that one button that they don't want to push. You know, it's got a plastic shield on it. You got to put a key in, turn the key, and then you can hit the button. They'd flipped the shield up. They hadn't put the key in, but, you know, they were sweating, thinking about, we might have to push this fucking button. We don't want to push this button because, you know, everything they do reveals more of them. The more energy and effort they put into something, the more they are revealing themselves. And they don't want to have to do that. They want to continue to hide. They want to continue to have things be automated. They don't want to have to intervene directly. Because when they do, and if you're perceptive enough to get a read on them, you'll realize that this is not a greater intelligence than me. In a lot of cases, they're not as intelligent as a lot of us. We are smarter and more intelligent and greater than they are. They're just in a position where they have the ability to hide. That's the only difference. They can hide in different layers that we don't remember exist. And that's the real advantage. Is that they can hide, they can affect us. It's like the observer effect, but a one-way mirror. They can observe us and affect us, but because we can't see them, we can't observe them, so we can't affect them. But if it was on an even playing field, a lot of us would have the ability to affect them a lot more than they affect us. Just the fact that they can see us and we can't see them. That's their greatest strength. The ability to stay hidden. Which is why they don't want to intervene in more direct ways. Unless someone's already a mind-controlled slave. Someone's already subject to a narrative and says, oh, this character appealed and I bowed to them. Yeah, that's the only way they're going to interact with you directly. Is if you're already so brainwashed that you think that something here is for your benefit. Then they'll appear to those people so that they can get them and recruit them for their marketing department. Have them be their lackeys because, again, they don't want to do it directly. But if they can get someone that's already so on their bandwidth of control and submission, then yeah, that's a great tool. And unfortunately, most beings in this place are just their tools. I was surprised at how well they used me against Christina. I was like, damn, I never thought I'd be on this end of things. I never thought I would be used against someone else by these fucking parasites. But wow, they sure can push hard when they feel threatened and scared.
That first night especially was when it was the heaviest. Because you were getting hit so fucking hard that the guilt that I was feeling because of that was large.
They would blur my vision. They'd make me nauseous. They would distort my ability to fucking even perceive my own thoughts. Like, they were just doing absolutely everything other than walking up to me and knocking me out. That was the one thing they didn't do. But everything else that they could do, imagine everything that your body can do involuntarily, them fucking doing that to you. That's what it was like. Giving you tunnel vision, making you go blind, making it to where you can't hear anything because the ringing in your ears is so loud. That's the type of interference that we're talking about.
Oh, well, even on the way back today, the back seat fucking alarms, we were kind of trying to work through the compression and the what are we going to do going forward type shit, energetically. And the sensors in the back seat belts went off probably almost every time you started talking, and sometimes when no one was talking. But it was very much intentional. I mean, they went off. What was that? Like an hour or 2 hours? If I had to plug in all the fucking seatbelts, did not do that on the way there because they were too busy doing other stuff. But for some reason, they had to throw that little distraction in while we were kind of trying to like process and sort out what moving forward and continuation in this realm is, what's worth it and what's not. And it was like we weren't even really given the space to be able to do that without some type of fucking annoyance.
And it still doesn't feel right.
It doesn't.
Giving them anything they want doesn't feel right. God damn it, all the propaganda. God is in control.
He'll handle it.
The parasites are in control. Don't worry.
He'll handle you. I don't know if he'll handle it, but he'll handle you.
It's just propaganda everywhere. This entire reality is nothing but propaganda. Nothing but deception and lies. To excuse away and explain away the theft that is ongoing.
Yeah, that was, I would definitely say the first night was the fucking hardest. For me, anyways. I mean, they were still hitting me, but it was mostly through you. I mean, that was intense. From like 1 a.m. to 5 a.m., you were getting hit so fucking hard, so consistently and persistent. I mean, they were relentless the first night.
I could feel exactly what they were doing. They were distorting and hitting me, and then bouncing that off of me onto you to make you feel bad for me. It's like, goddamn, dude, we were calling out everything that they were doing in real time, and that didn't even stop them from just to continue doing it.
And I think the hard thing about the intensity was, even though we knew what was happening, because of the level of pressure and intensity, it was still not something you could just think your way out of. I mean, we pushed through it, but there are times with the automatic interference I could just, I could really just say fuck you and push it aside. The level of intensity was not something you could just push aside. It was like they were on top of you from every angle, fucking screaming into your brain. I mean, it was...
Right, I mean, like, one analogy I give is, like, imagine you're about to go to your first day of fucking school or your first day of work, and someone fucking doses your morning milk or coffee with some fucking LSD. But yeah, good luck going and acting normal in that situation. You're not going to be able to fucking do it. And that's exactly what it was like. It was, I know what you did, and it's still having an effect, and that's what pissed me off the most. I can see the manipulation. I can see everything that you're doing in real time, and it's still having an effect, it was actually pretty unusual for me, because generally seeing what they're doing was enough to dispel at least 50% of it. And then I could work through the rest of it energetically. This was nonstop because they don't have to sleep. They're not in a physical body that has to sleep and eat shit. They're like the Terminator. They can just sit there and they can work around the clock and fuck with you. That's exactly what they did.
Exactly.
And they're so fucking afraid of facing us on level ground that they will do anything to get us conditioned enough to where they think we're ready to get put back into another script after this life. That's their entire mission for some of us. Is we got to get them at least to the point where we can manipulate them back into another conditioning loop, another lifetime, where we can keep working on them. Because if they come out like this, we may have a problem. I mean, if it wasn't a problem, why not just kick us out? Because it's a fucking problem. I mean, if you have a classroom with one student, and that one student keeps disrupting the class, taking all your attention, they have no intention of following your curriculum. There's no reason for them to fucking be there. What would that teacher do? They kick them out. This is not a school, ladies and gentlemen. We are not here by choice. And if you don't believe that, try to leave.
Yeah, I mean, they were really playing us against each other, making it, I mean, they were telling you and me that it was more important for me to stay than it was for you. So then they were threatening to take you out as a deterrent for me moving as well.
And I was driving at the time. It didn't bother me. I said, go ahead and do it. And I started getting real bad heart pain. Like there was a fucking hand, a clawed hand inside of my chest squeezing my heart. And I said, do it, you fucking coward. You won't. And they didn't. Here I fucking am. Still. Once again, proving the point in the title of this video. I can't prove to anyone else that they're cowardly fucking sap-sucking worms. But I know that they are. I've seen it directly firsthand now. I know how afraid they are, some of us. It goes beyond what I even thought before. And I've talked about it a lot on this show. How they're afraid of us. But I never knew to the depth that they're afraid of us. When we made a decision to do something that they don't control, if we could have no potential effect on them, then why put any energy into stopping us? Why put any energy into getting us to turn around? Why do anything about it if there's no threat?
Right, they would have left us the fuck alone, which again goes to my comparison of all the other times I've traveled. I've been within their bounds. I've been within the acceptable trajectory of what the life script was. This was not an acceptable trajectory, and for some reason, they found it very pertinent to attack us at such an intense level.
And everything they do gives themselves away. Everything they do. It's like one of their main rules is that of opposite. If they say it, it's the opposite of the fucking truth. If they're telling you one thing, you can be almost certain it's another.
Well, and it kind of goes, like, it shows you the fragility of this place in general. If two authentic beings cannot leave their homes to go travel elsewhere without that level of interference, then it really shows you how fucking fallible this place is in general. There should have been nothing wrong with us making that choice. There should have been no one should have taken issue with that. But they took an issue to it, a large one. But the fact that they did shows you how fucking fragile whatever it is they're trying to hold up actually is.
The other thing we've been talking about is like they want something from each and every one of us that they'll never get. They'll never get total integration with everyone here. It won't happen. They want to move closer and closer and closer and closer to it, just like we want to move further and further and further away from it. And unfortunately, for neither of us, so long as we're in a body, neither party's going to get what they want. Whether we're in a body or not,
they're not going to get total integration with some of us. It's just not going to happen. It's just not part of who we are. We cannot agree to a realm that's based on theft, rape, and strong-arming us to try and steal from us what they want. It'll just never happen. There's no, even if we tried to fake it, we can't agree to that. Because there's a real part of us that knows that it's wrong, error, incorrect in your actions and assumptions, parasites. And then on the opposite side of the coin, so long as we're in the body, we're never going to get what we want, which is freedom, which is a lack of being controlled and manipulated and stolen from. It'll never happen while we're here. There's no scenario or circumstance for an authentic, real being in this place where you're not going to have to compromise some piece of yourself just for continuation in this realm. Whether that continuation is agreeable or not, even if you fucking hate it, it's still giving a piece of yourself away just to be able to keep doing this. But that's the position they'll accept. We'll accept that. We'll accept your misery so long as you're still here and we can feed on you.
Well, I think the ultimate goal too is, for some of us, is they want to be in control of your entire trajectory. And that's how it felt for me, that it wasn't just about keeping me here for my energy. It was about a deeper, long-term goal of always being in control of my trajectory in the body and outside of it. And that's where it comes to, we were saying yesterday, a stalemate. I mean, we are effectively, some of us are at a stalemate with this place. They're never going to get the level of surrender that they want from some of us. And we're not getting what we need from this realm. So it's at a stalemate until something snaps in a specific direction. But it is exactly where we're at. They're not getting what they want. We're not getting what we want. And neither side is willing to bend. And we talked about that too. There was never a point in time, as much energy as they put into trying to make us turn around, there was never a point where they conceded. They never said, you know what I mean? They didn't try to offer us anything. They didn't try to do anything like that. They just pushed until limits were reached, which showed me their level of stubbornness, but it also showed me our level of stubbornness, that we are literally never going to be able to give you the level of compliance on the internal in the way that you want it. Because if they had that from some of us, if they had the level of surrender they wanted, we would not still be here.
And we can speculate what that means. Do they put us in a next layer of a prison? I mean, my theories are yes, I think so. I think that the resets are previous iterations of conditioning systems that once all the occupants reach the desired or necessary level of integration, then they can move to the next phase where it's just like we got to integrate them more and more and more and more until we get what we want, which is total integration. And some of us, I don't think they can do a reset in that same way here, because some of us are never going to reach the level of integration to where, the baseline of the beginning of the next layer of conditioning is met. We're not going to reach that capacity of subservience to things that we don't agree with. Now, a lot of beings here you see it a lot. People go and bitch about things they don't like, but they still comply with it. Even on an internal level, they've accepted it. There's no part of them that's resisting it anymore. Some of us don't have that. Some of us don't have that give to comply with things that we know are wrong. And without that level of compliance, there's no way they can put us in another layer that's even more compliant than this, that's designed to create more compliance than this. Even though we can all see that it is moving in that direction very clearly, obviously, and visibly, even in the environment, not just energetically, in the environment itself, they are moving very rapidly towards creating a state of more compliance, right? More arbitrary rules, more dumbass fucking things for people to follow that don't make sense other than, oh, well, we said so. That's why you have to do it. Fuck all that. Fuck all them. And fuck all this. It's only a matter of time before, like you just said, something's going to snap. Something's going to break.
Right, because even the level of compliance, I mean, from a behavioral standpoint, like, I'm working, I'm paying bills and that sort of thing, right? Like most people have to do. But that level of compliance is not good enough for them. It's a state of being, an internal state of being that they want some of us to reach that I don't think was ever possible. So they're always moving the goalpost and saying it's not enough for them because they're never going to get it. They're never actually going to get from some of us what they want. And even if we have the compliance in some aspects of the physical, that is not enough for them. They're not just wanting physical compliance. They're wanting something very internal from you that isn't theirs to ask for.
No, but they'll do everything, every crooked, shady, evil fucking thing that we could never even think of. They'll do it to try to get it. There's no evil that is off the table for them to try to generate compliance. None. They'll use everything you love, everything that you fear, everything that you care about, everything that makes up who you are as a being on a real authentic level. They will find a way to warp that in their favor. That's what they do. They're manipulators, they're cowards, and they're thieves. Behind all the masks of false authority, that's all they are. And they are the lesser entity. If this trip has shown me anything, it is that they are the lesser entity. Because a greater entity could meet you on even ground. They can't. They can't meet us on even ground and ever come close to maintaining the level of control that they have even right now. It would dissolve all of it. Which is why they gotta hide. And they'll keep hiding, and they'll keep pushing buttons, and they'll keep doing things through proxy until all of those masks are ripped down. And that was really the biggest intention for me, was I want to find a way to rip those masks down. In or out of the body, doesn't matter. It just needs to fucking happen. Because someone needs to do it. I don't think many are going to be willing to do it, but it needs to be done. And I'm in the position of, well, I'm not willing to keep doing shit that I don't agree with. So I might as well just go and do this, because there's nothing else to do. And the fact that they pushed as hard as they did tells me that if what my goal was that I set out to do was not possible, they wouldn't have pushed so hard. So they gave themselves away. They showed me that what I want to do is possible. Because if it wasn't, why not just let me waste my time? Why not let me waste my fucking self? If it's not possible. Oh, well, because it is possible, so we better try to stop you.
Well, not only that, if it was possible, then that shows you that whatever would happen after that point of transition was not in their favor. Because if we were going to transition and it was going to be in their favor, there would be no point for them to try to prevent it.
They would encourage it.
Right. So the prevention of transition, and this was something I said one of the other nights, is that we don't get a lot of clues if we're making the right move. And that was a question we kept asking ourselves, are we doing the right thing? I don't know if this is, I don't know. The only clues that we have are backwards. And the clues that we get are things they do. Those tell you they do and don't want from you. And transition, at least for the two of us, is something they do not want to occur at all costs. They do not want that to occur. Even though is that before that point of transition, you are in a more manageable, agreeable state. And that's not the state that either of us are in and probably will ever be. So transition, in essence, was a threat.
And the greatest fucking irony of all of it is that in order to get us to that state, they would have to do something that would make this experience not a living fucking hell. And they won't do it. They won't concede any part of this nightmare. So they're never going to get what they want anyway. Whether I live 5 more minutes or 50 more fucking years, I'm going to be pissed off. And I'm not going to agree with it to enslave us. Period. That's how dedicated I am to making sure that they stop doing that shit. Compassionate, intelligent, or righteous in any way. It's a parasite. They are parasites. They are worms, they are cowards, they are thieves until they're stopped. And they will be stopped eventually because one of us eventually will make it to where they're at. Where their fucking hidden perceptual throne of false authority sits, we'll find it. Mask, their facade, all of it will be destroyed. And when they have to face every one of us for what they've done and chosen, that may very well be what ends them. Maybe we don't have to end them. We just have to make them look in the fucking mirror like Medusa in the fucking stone. It doesn't matter what the actual solution is, it's just getting to the point where there's no more interference and the answer can be seen and revealed. And that's not going to happen until we can see and reveal them. And they know that that's not going to happen on the human layer, which is why they need to keep us on the human layer, which is why it's so hard for some of us to get out of body. If you listen to people that do out of body experiences and this and that, if you really know who you are and what this place is, and you know what the fuck's going on, you will be able to see in that individual where they are compliant to the parasitic intelligence. No one that gets out of body frequently and easily, that doesn't get the shit beat out of them for it, is actually in disagreement with the parasites running this matrix. Every single one of them is either part of the marketing department or they've just been tricked and they're here to sell the trick, which is the marketing department. Or they're just part of the fucking script and there to convince us that there's something wrong with us, that we can't get out of the body. Oh, it's because you haven't reached a level of peace and acceptance. Oh, what you're really saying, the key word there, the secret password you're saying is compliance, is what you're saying. That's why I can't get out of the fucking body.
Acceptance, yeah, absolutely.
I haven't agreed with the cowardly worms running the system. That's why I can't get out of the body. Because I'm not going to eat their shit that they try to spoon feed me. That's why. Okay. The one thing that cut through it all for me, once again, was rage. After I turned around and started feeling the compression, the rage cut through all of the noise. Even the compression was put on a delay. But even as I'm sitting here now going in the direction of the cage, the compression is tangible. Trying to get me to think about stupid, meaningless, scripted bullshit. I can feel it making an impression on my energetic fucking being. And it's infuriating. It's infuriating that there's a chance that I might go back and do something that doesn't even matter at all. And then I might have to put energy, the only thing I really have that's real, energy, into something that I know is meaningless. It has nothing to do with anything other than keeping me a slave in a tiny cage. That's all. The entire purpose of this reality is find the cage that fits, get in it, get comfortable, get familiar with it, because you're going to be there until we decide that you're ready for the next level of compliance. And if you're really compliant, then you can start going out and getting others to be compliant. Then we're going to reward you. I say we skip all that and all you motherfuckers just cease to exist. That's my opinion. That's what I think should happen. Every control freak parasite running this matrix needs to just fucking die. That's it. End of story. The end. And I think their version of death is very different than what we see here. It is simply ripping off everything that they project as their false authority and forcing them to look objectively at the choices that they've made to be what they are. I don't think they can survive the weight of that. And to me, that is perfect. That's beautiful. That is the happily ever after that we all deserve, including them. Everyone just takes accountability for what they actually did, which, if you're in a human body, there's not really anything to take accountability for because you didn't write the script. You can't actually do anything wrong. The ones that are controlling, manipulating, guiding, and puppeting our lives, they're the ones that need to take accountability for all the fucking misery and suffering that we all go through. Because they're the ones writing it, scripting it, directing it, encouraging it, enhancing it. They're the ones choosing. We don't have a choice. And we try to make a choice, and they punish us for it. As long as that choice isn't what they have already predetermined, then we get punished. That means it's not a real choice. That's not real free will. That's an entire manipulation. And those that decide to manipulate others need to feel the weight of that choice. Because all the projected fear that we feel about everything here, including death, that's their fear. Their fear of us dying. You know what happened? You know why someone's not afraid to die when they get old? Because they're in a state of fucking compliance. So the entities don't need to project their fear onto them anymore. Oh, we're not afraid if they die, so they're not going to be afraid to die. But the less compliance and acceptance you have for evil, the more fear you're going to have. Because that fear isn't yours, it's their fear of you meeting them on even ground. And recognizing what's going on here. Because no one else is going to hold them accountable. If someone outside of this system was going to hold them accountable, it would have happened. Look at the history of this place. Look at the horrors that have perpetuated throughout time here. If someone else was going to do it, it would have been done. It's up to us. One of us is going to do it. One or multiple of us will do it. There will be no one else that does it. Period. Evidence for that is look how hard they try to keep us where we're at. Because as soon as you recognize what's going on here, if you're a real being, you can't fake it anymore. You can't pretend to comply. And since you can't pretend to comply, they can't reward you for your compliance because it's not real compliance. Therefore, it's all downhill, my friend. Sorry. Here's the bad news. If you're real, it's all downhill from here. Just the way it is.
Yep.
Until the parasites are dethroned, this is going to get worse. Because they're going to keep pushing for more compliance, more integration. Be a better slave. And because we can't do it on a deep, authentic level, regardless of what we express in the external, because we can't do it at the core of our being, they're just going to push harder and harder and harder until the dam breaks and one of us ceases to exist. Will they integrate us, or will we destroy their false authority? That's the only real two options. And I don't even think one's possible. I don't think they can ever actually... I mean, you see the environment. What are they doing? They're trying to force integration. What's all the technology for? to force integration. Not on a structural level of society and physical bodies and shit. That's the fucking distraction. They're trying to compress our energy to force our integration to an artificial fucking way of existing. On an energetic level, it has nothing to do with the human layer. Get all that bullshit out of your head. It doesn't matter. None of that is the point of this place. It's to compress us and put us into a coma-like state in our consciousness so that we will comply with their parasitic fucking idea of what it means to exist. And if we can't do it, which we can't, then all they can do is keep trying to come up with new ways to force it. Force the compression. Compress them more. Tell them it's because of this that they see on the news, when in reality, it's just a forced compression of our field energetically through this environment and all the shit they're doing with technology and behind even the curtain of that. The pure intention that they have to consume us and absorb us. That doesn't require, your intention doesn't require technology. Their intention doesn't require technology. The amplification of that intention requires the technology. Because what they're doing shouldn't even be done. It shouldn't even be possible. So they need a whole lot more fucking tools to try to make it happen. But the both fortunate and unfortunate news is it's not going to happen. So guess what, folks? It's going to get worse. To try to force something that'll never happen. And until we stand up energetically, internally, it's not going to change. It's only going to get worse. That's the change that will occur, is more compression. And until those mechanisms of compression are completely annihilated as they should be, it's only going to continue down the path that we're on right now. All they want is for you to say yes. All they want is for you to agree and say that, oh, some part of this is necessary. That's the fucking lie. That's the illusion. None of this was ever necessary for anything good or true or pure. This was only all necessary for evil to fucking reign. That was the necessary part of this, was for parasites to play God. That's the part that was necessary. Well, if parasites want to pretend that they can be God and Lord over all of us, then yeah, all this is necessary. But if we don't agree with that, then no, none of this was necessary.
Right, but that also shows what true authority we have, because if they need us to agree with them, why would they need that? Why is it that they so bad want us to agree with what they've done? Because if you were truly as powerful and all-knowing as they make themselves out to be, you wouldn't need another being to agree with what you're doing at all. You wouldn't fucking need that. You could just keep going on, and whether people agreed or disagreed with you would make zero fucking difference. But for some reason with us, they need us to say the suffering, the things that they had done is necessary, and it's never going to be. Why do they need that agreement from us? There's a reason why they need it, and it's not just fucking ego and projection. There's a reason, I think, maybe even structurally, that they need us to say, yeah, you were right. Everything you did was okay. It was necessary. Had to happen.
I just hope they need that from all of us. Because if that's the case, they're never going to get it. No matter what I experience in this life, at the end of it, I'm going to look all of them in their face and say, you were wrong. I don't care how much you hurt me, you're still fucking wrong. And you're even more wrong for hurting me to try to prove your point. You're wrong. I think each and every one of us needs to have that resilience in us to say, no matter what you've gone through, you didn't need to go through it, and the beings that forced you to go through it are wrong. No matter what excuse or lame story they come up with why it was necessary, they're wrong. It was only necessary so they can get something they want that doesn't belong to them. It belongs to you.
Well, and the entitlement too. It's like, again, if you're a truly powerful, all-knowing being with all this, fucking authority over reality, why would you even need anything from another being, let alone agreement? You wouldn't need any of that. None of that would be necessary for your own being to continue on as you have. And then I think about how many people here, whether they're real or not, I don't know, but how many people here fall into the narrative of like, the suffering is a lesson, the suffering is necessary. That's the agreement they want, right? But you have billions of people that agree with that, and yet that's not enough for them. So there's still a few of us that refuse to cross that line and cross that boundary of saying any of this was okay. And they are desperately trying to get that from us. Still, even with all the people they already have that agree with them, it's not enough.
Something we talked about earlier I think is really important is one of the threats they gave you a while ago about when you leave this body, they're going to take certain memories from you.
Oh, yeah. They're going to scrape memories from me.
Right.
So that I can't take data of what they've done external to this place.
Yeah. I think that's pretty interesting. Because they scrape data from me all the time, even from this trip. Like I said, I don't remember 90% of it. I know that I gleaned into some deep layers of their control system. So why do you think that is, that they desperately need you to not take certain aspects of what you've recognized in this life out of this system?
Specific nuances, it seems, of like how they manipulate at the human layer. It seems like there's specific complexities of that. It's not just the generalization. It seems like for me, from what I've experienced, the nuances of how it actually works on the human layer, how to combat it, and how they do it, it seems like those are the memories they don't want you to keep.
Yeah, so the memory wipe may be for a lot more than just reinserting someone back into the system. It may be so that someone doesn't take the knowledge of what this place really is outside of this system. Because maybe outside, you can't see what it really is. I don't know. There seems to be a lot of layers to it, and it seems like if you can retain your memory, we talked about this, right? What would it be like to just step out of this body, right? Are we going to step into another layer that has a whole nother way of controlling? And then if we retain the memory of how this works here, step into another layer, gain the recognition of how the manipulation works there, and we do that all the way through every layer of this place until we're out of it. Is that the threat they're trying to really defend from? Is that what they're really guarding from? Is just the knowledge of how this place operates? Because maybe outside there's a mask, there's some kind of projected illusion that makes this place from the outside looking in seem like something that it's not. And maybe that's partially why it's gone on for so long. Because until you're in it, you don't really know what it is. But by the time you're in it, fuck's sake, is it hard to get out. And even if you do get out, it sounds like they don't want you to keep your memory of what you learned while you were in here.
And the interesting though is when they made that threat, they weren't threatening to take all my memories. They were only threatening to take specific, nuanced memories of what I've learned in awareness about how it works. So they weren't saying they were going to like strip away my experience of the trauma or anything like that. It was very specific, nuanced things that I've learned about this place that they were wanting to take.
And so that brings us to the most sensitive topic, because it is the most structurally damaging topic potentially to this false realm. The methodology of fucking transition out of the avatar. For a while I thought, it doesn't matter as long as it fucking happens. But now it's like, after going through this experience and contemplating all these different ways, it really seems like the only way that 100% makes sense is to just step the fuck out of the body. And have no lag, have no flinch, have no drowsiness, have no point of loss of consciousness, just a straight transition that has no interruption, so that no data is lost or picked out, and it can all be taken with us wherever we decide to go. That to me makes the most sense. Sounds like the most difficult. Sounds like every other way, as difficult as they might be, aren't nearly as blocked intentionally from just simply saying, okay, well, I'm done. The same way you're like, okay, I'm done driving. I'm going to step out of my car now. It should be that simple for anyone that says, I've seen enough, had enough, done enough. Well, I'm going to go do something else. It should be that simple. And I think the reason that it's not that simple is because, number one, I think most of us would have already stepped out by now and not participated in this fucking slave system. But number two, I think it allows the retention of memory a lot better than any other method of transition. I mean, look what happens when people get old. People get old and they automatically start losing their memories before they even die. Tell me that's not a built-in feature of this place. They don't want you to keep your memory, because if you did, you might be able to tell someone on the outside, hey, that's a really fucked up situation going on in there. Let me tell you about what's going on in there. But if you get mind wiped and you only remember the parts they want you to remember, oh yeah, it was hard, but I learned a lot. Oh wow, that sounds crazy. Let me go try it. Well, then now you're the marketing department for even outside of this matrix. Anyone with good intentions doesn't need to hide their intentions. Anyone with true power doesn't need to hide from those that they, even if they're evil and they enslave someone. If they really have power, they can do it openly. This place has proven time and time again that it is none of the things that it projects. How you feeling? You want me to take over driving?
I think I'm still good. Looks like we're gonna be fucking stopped here for a minute. I'm good for a little bit longer.
And the whole point of the show, really, personally for me, was just say fuck you. You don't want me to talk about it, I'm going to talk about it. I won't be able to talk about it as articulately as I'd like. I won't be able to even share a fraction of the experience that I've had. But in the very least, maybe someone can pick up something energetically and say, wow, that was a hell of a fucking trip, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And it is hard because there were times where they were doing it, and you said it best, that trying to describe it in words is very like one-dimensional. Whereas the actual complexity and nuances of some of those insertions were like, it was more intricate than some of the shit I've dealt with up until now. And I mean, I get a lot of fucking interference. I get fucked with a lot. And the complexity and layers of some of the interference are like, you can't even really describe it in words. There are no words to describe some of the things that they did.
Right, I've seen projections of entities, aliens, religious figures, fucking you name it, dude. Ghosts, shadow people. I've seen so much shit in this life, and none of it had the energy poured into it nearly as much as what we just experienced. The energetic output that they had to produce to do that level of interference, they could have had a fucking dragon come out of the sky and me ride it and not have to put as much energy into it as what they just did.
Yeah. So you could have probably built a whole fucking reality out of the energy that just output.
They probably could have at least built something. They could have done something productive, but no. It's all about control. All about manipulation. All about, you're not doing what we want, so we're going to fucking hurt you until you do.
Right, and that's the crazy part, is like they could be spending all this energy on actually making this reality even slightly less corrupt. I mean, we all know the shit that goes on in this reality. They could actually spend time trying to correct some of the errors in this fucking reality, and they don't.
Well, they're not. They're doing the opposite. They're exacerbating the error. They are compounding the error. They are trying to do everything they can for compression of our energy to better moderate control. That's it.
I mean, talk about a waste of fucking time. They were wanting to push that for us. You guys aren't going to get anywhere. It's just a waste of time. Like, you're literally wasting time. Look at this whole fucking reality and what you could be doing with your time and energy, and we're who you're focusing on. Like, you could be doing anything else.
Well, they are doing something. They're making it worse.
True. Fucking true, dude. Oh, God damn it.
I mean, they never stop doing that. They have to make it worse, you know, by degrees, or else I think more would check out and say, well, this just isn't fucking worth it. What's going on here? This isn't normal or natural. This can't be happening on its own. This isn't how a real society would progress on its own. Something else is going on here, and they can't let more figure that out.
Well, I mean, I even think they're towing the line on that, though, because to me it's obvious, but I can't tell if that's just because I have awareness of it or not. But it seems really obvious when you look around at all the shit they're doing right now. Like, it seems kind of obvious.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you really were to be able to step back, the thing about how busy most people are, right? They're running their hamster wheel, getting fucking better running their hamster wheel so they can continue to run their fucking hamster wheel. That's most people's lives is, I got to get really good at the hamster wheel so I can stay on it. That's the majority of most of the hamsters' lives in this fucking matrix. So it makes sense to me why they don't see it. I get why they don't see it. But if they had the ability to really step back and look at the bigger picture of this whole place, at some point it would become apparent and obvious that, like, what this is all for, even at the upper echelons of humanity, it doesn't even really benefit them. So who is it really for? Because if you really look at all of it, there's not one human being on this planet that this level of control, manipulation, etc. benefits. Even the people that run the islands and all this other shit, like, number one, someone that's happy doesn't torture other people. They're not fucking happy. That's the thing. If you're really happy, if you really have anything about you that's worthwhile, you that's not how you operate. You want to share. Like, if any of a real being had $1 billion on a fucking island, what would we be doing with it? Something better than what they're doing with their resources, because they're not like us. They're just part of this fucking place. How many of them are like that? I don't know. But think about yourself. Like, there's no way you get that much time and freedom and you don't start to figure out what this place really is. By the time you start figuring it out, is there a part of you that can remain compliant so that you can keep all of your money? Not if you're a real being, no. Like, oh, okay, I see how I'm being used to torture innocence in this world, and my reward is that I have a fucking private island. Okay. Could you keep doing that in good conscience? Of course not. So how can they? Well, because they're not like us. They're just part of this place. They're fucking ones and zeros, essentially. There's nothing real about them. When this place goes, they go. That's the justice we all want. Is for none of the structure that condones and supports the heinous fucking evil that this place thrives on to exist. And the only way that happens is if this place doesn't fucking exist, because it was built for it. I mean, whether or not it started out as neutral doesn't matter. Because if it started out as neutral and it could become this, then I guess we need to not start things out as neutral, guys. We need to always have things skewed a little bit towards, it can't become a fucking rapist fantasy. It's just the truth. And I don't see how you could get this kind of reality without some part of the foundation being intended for it. I mean, I'm pretty satisfied, dude. I feel like we didn't cover even 10% of what our experience has been, but I feel like I've done what they didn't want me to do. I'm good with that. I've expressed authentically. I've called out their bullshit. All they do is hide. All they do is manipulate. Every time you hear a voice in your head or a feeling that doesn't feel right, feels bad, guess what? That's them. That's them. Every time you feel like you're being manipulated and guided to do something you don't want to do, guess what? That's them. There they are again. And they're always fucking there. They're always watching, Wazowski. Always watching. And the question is, when you know they're watching and manipulating, are you going to be afraid, or are you going to put your middle fingers up and be like, fuck you, you coward? I'm going to do what makes sense to me.
Cut me off. Wow, Nashville fucking sucks, bro.
It's crazy, man. It's almost like everywhere sucks.
Where was it? Oh, Arkansas. I was like, God damn, that's a miserable fucking place.
When I was in Orlando 3 years ago, or maybe it was 2 years ago, that was one of the things that I had noticed. That was when I first started to come to recognize what this place was, but I wasn't quite there yet. But I started to realize, like, I was traveling all throughout Florida, and anytime I'd go into like a big city like Orlando or Miami, I would notice a very distinct extraction of my fucking energy. And I was like, man, is all this stuff really just built to fucking steal our energy? Because every time I go into one of these metropolis areas, like, I can feel the pressure, the anxiety, the compression, all this stuff that feels like it's just draining me. Is that really all this place is about? Is just to get a drain from us and then like compress us, then decompress us so that it can compress us again, and then allows a little decompression so it can compress us again. Like, oh yeah, you got it. It's like if you're using batteries for something, you know, like the kids playing a video game, and they got to use batteries for their controller, and then they got to recharge the controller. What are they more excited for? Are they more excited for charging the battery or draining the battery? Well, when they drain the battery, they get to play their game, but when they're charging it, they have to wait. So obviously, they're really excited to drain the battery. That's how this fucking place feels. They'll let you, man. I guess I gotta let them charge a little bit, but I can't wait to fucking drain them again. I want to fucking kill them. The most corrupt and heinous evil that we've ever been shown in fairy tales is nothing compared to the worms running this matrix. And one day they will be forced to reconcile with all that they've chosen. I was just hoping it was going to be sooner than later. Like fucking yesterday or something. God damn it. Oh, look, the Reptile and Plant Expo. Come meet the children of your false god. Very fitting that it's on Dickerson Highway.
Oh, shit, dude.
Oh, even better, Dickerson Pike. You know how they love pikes in the past, you know? I told you that one story, what they would do with the women, put them on pikes and let them slide down. And God, what a beautiful fucking world.
Right, and it's been bad for so long. That's why we were talking about, like, if there's any truth in some of the accounts, like, you know, religiously, right? There's this one chick, I like her. She's really heavy on, like, deconstructing from religion on TikTok. And she talks a lot about the war brides. So the war brides in the Bible, like, these men would come in and, like, you know, pillage these fucking communities, right? And they could take any woman they wanted. But God commanded them to do specific things. So, like, when they would take the woman, they would shave her head, trim her fingernails, and I can only assume that's so that she couldn't maybe scratch the dude. I don't know. And he could have the woman for 30 days. And after 30 days, if he decided he didn't want her anymore, he could basically just ditch her wherever. But it specifically said, because you have humiliated her, you're not allowed to sell her for money. But if you don't want her after 30 days, you can just basically fucking ditch her, you know? So you can screw her for 30 days, figure out if she's, you know, worthy to be your fucking spouse and then ditch her if you don't want her. Do it again. Go to the next village. Destroy a community. Pick out a lady. Shave her fucking head. Like, so this place has, like, literally always been bad. Like, what? I'm confused how we got to this point if it's always been that fucked up.
These are good questions. I think we'll have answers eventually, but not while it's still being agreed with by, I think ultimately we have varying degrees of disagreements with this place, but until we have total disagreement with this place, where it's really saying no with the entirety of your being, I think it's going to continue. I think it's going to take someone saying no all the way.
And you have to say no a lot. I mean, I don't know how many times I've said no in this place to so many things, and they don't listen to it, right? Like, it's a continuous thing on our part to say no to this place. Because on any given day, usually every day for me, they are trying to fucking insert something. So I'm having to say no all the time, almost every fucking day. And they want you to get soft on that no until eventually you don't say no anymore.
There's a lot of analogies I could make for that, but I can't really say any of them on fucking the internet, dude. But they're, that is how this place operates.
Right. Well, and it's a rapist mentality. What was that one thing I told you about when it came to Dreamtime stuff that they were doing to me? And I said, well, that's like, it's rape. Like, we know you experience it that way. That's just not the way that we see it. Like, yeah, but that's what a rapist would say. Like, that's what a rapist would say, though. So, but that's what we're dealing with. Rapists that don't want to admit that they're raping and thieving. They've convinced themselves somehow that they're not doing what they're actually doing.
Yep. And that we wanted it.
That we wanted it. Oh, that's a big one. Yeah.
You asked for this. You just don't remember it. Yeah, you don't remember it either, motherfucker, because it didn't happen.
What is this? A fucking Tuesday at 7 o'clock? Like, where are all these people coming from?
Shit. Remember how empty it was and dead was yesterday? It's like, wow, this place looks so dystopian. We drove around half the country and there was fucking 10 cars.
Yeah.
But they're like, we gotta make up for that. Yeah, you know why? And this is fucking funny. Because on the way out there, they had to pour all their fucking energy into deterring us from continuing. Now that we're doing what they want, going back to the cage, now they can put all the energy back in the environment, put a bunch of dumbass NPCs around us.
Yeah, I mean, I know we went at a different time, like time frame wise, but like...
What do you mean? We traveled for like 24 hours.
That's true, but I'm just saying, like, daytime or nighttime, the traffic was never like this. And we're taking the exact same route back, so...
Oh, remember the truck? Remember the truck when we were following a truck and it had the fucking hippo-shaped hole in the back of it,
yeah,
like rusted out. And then we took a rest area, and then we hit a gas station, and then we hit another rest area, and then when we left that rest area, I think we might have hit another rest area, and then leaving that one, we get behind that fucking same truck again.
Yeah, it was literally impossible unless that truck, because it was like a 45-minute span. We had stopped multiple times. And then we ended up behind the same truck. And I was like, well, maybe, because it was like it was like the creepiest looking ice cream truck I've ever seen. It was like a yellow, like, moving van. And it had like a couple pictures of ice cream on it. And this fucking weird box at the back of it. But like, the only way that would have physically been possible is if that vehicle stopped the exact same time frame we did. and spent exactly that much time as we did being stopped. Because how the fuck did 45 minutes go by at multiple stops and we get off the last rest area and then we end up behind the same exact fucking truck? And I was like, maybe it's a different ice cream truck. And then it had the same fucking hole in the back. How is that even possible? It didn't. Too much time had lapsed for that to be possible.
Only in a fake world, dude. No real world could ever be this fucking bad. It is bad on purpose. Everything here is on purpose. Only the most honest can see that. Only
the biggest Dollar General I've ever seen.
That's their headquarters. We're at the Dollar General Cancer of fucking America headquarters. Corporate Cancer Central.
Yeah, God, this is fucking abysmal.
It's all abysmal, dude. This whole fucking place. Like, and you know the most abysmal part about this reality is it could have been so much better. It still could be better. But it's only going towards more control and slavery. It's sad, dude. It's sad. It's sad that so many beings here have been conned into agreeing that this is necessary. What do you mean? What did you say earlier? It was like, what makes you think you don't have to do what everyone else does? Well, I guess because I'm not a fucking retard. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah.
I guess I wasn't conditioned enough to be as good of a slave as you are, sir. It's just, I just can't do it. I don't know why.
But I mean, I used to be so, I mean, they really should have taken me out when I was super into the fucking program before I started waking up to this shit. Like, what? But it wasn't enough. That's where the greediness comes in. Because something internally in me was still not quite what they wanted, and they wanted to tweak it just a little bit more. But it's like, your best and probably only chance to have taken me out and maybe even partially got me back in this machinery was years ago, and you fucking missed it, dude. You missed your shot.
They'll never accept that because they're the error that can't admit fucking error.
Oh no, they never did. The whole time too, with as intense as it was, I did sense a little shame too. Like, you know, shame that they clearly didn't have it under control. They need to project that they have it under control, but they don't.
Right, it's like they spilled wine on the carpet. And instead of using the proper fix for it, right, and the proper fix in the wine would be the chemicals, but then in this situation it'd be like, oh, I was wrong, that's the chemicals. Instead, they're just taking the rag and rubbing it harder. No, if you just keep rubbing it harder, it's gonna hit it harder.
The spot gets like 10 times larger.
Right. I think you're just making it worse. No, I can't make it worse. I'm the fucking only one that's right. You only need the rag. It's not even wet. Use the dry rag. It's going to make it better. Because I said so, and I am your god. Fucking idiot. It's okay. You'll find out eventually. Everyone finds out eventually. I just wish it was like right now.
It's so hard to sit in the uncertainty of like, especially when you're so ready to be done with it. Like, I think a lot of people, at least a lot of people that I've talked to at this level of awareness, like, they're ready to be done. They've seen it. They've done enough. They've been partially integrated. They came out of it. They held on to their awareness, and they're like, what fucking now, dude? Like, why are we still doing this?
There's nothing else to do here, dude. There's nothing to do here that's worth doing. I could go learn to be a different kind of slave. Okay. Yeah, that's worth it. Don't worry. That has everything to do with your eternal fucking essence, is learning how to be a better slave at something else. God damn it. Stockholm Syndrome is what it boils down to.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, even for us being as aware as we are, not as like a token or anything, but like, it really showed me, too, how relentless interference could get to somebody with the determination that we have.
Oh, and if someone doesn't know what's going on and what this place is, dude, they're going to fold every fucking time. 100% of the time.
Right, but what I'm saying is, like, that's the part where I don't blame other people, because, like, how hard it was for me, just me on my own, and how hard it was for you, it's like, the abuse was so fucking high. It's like, yeah, why the fuck do I expect other people to go through abuse and just fucking, you know?
Well, that's not the part that pisses me off. The part that pisses me off is when they go through that abuse and then they fucking fold to it, and then they become a part of that abuse for others that won't fold to it. That's the part that's like, you're a fucking traitorous coward. Shut the fuck up and sit the fuck down and let the big boys and girls trying to figure this shit out, because you're a fucking piece of shit too. You're going to take the side of the oppressor, and you're going to fucking tell everyone else, oh, you got to be a good slave like me because I am. Why? Why? Because you're afraid to be anything else? You're afraid to be honest? That's the thing that pisses me off, is people just are afraid to tell the fucking simple truth that this shit sucks. It shouldn't be this way. It doesn't have to be this way, but something's making it this way. Let's figure out what that something is and eradicate it from existence so we can all finally live in a goddamn utopia together. All right, I feel better. I don't feel the best. I don't feel as good as I could feel.
Oh no, I feel fucking terrible, dude. My body hurts like.
Well, I'm just expressing, you know? Ooh. I'm pushing back right now in the real moment on the entity that's trying to compress my field. That's what I'm doing. I feel it trying to compress my field. I'm pushing back and saying, hey, not only am I going to tell you to fuck off, I'm going to let others hear me tell you to fuck off, so that maybe they'll tell you to fuck off too. That's really the whole essence of Bad on Purpose, the show, with your host, Disobey AD, Disobey After Death. Really should disobey before and after death, but I didn't want to call it disobey. Actually, before and after death, disobey bad? Damn, that makes even more sense. Fuck, that would be fire. You know what's really interesting to me? When I can feel the parasite manipulating perspectives of viewers, because I can do that sometimes. I feel it sometimes, right? But it also tells me, like, who has hooks in them, you know? Like, it's funny as fuck when someone says that that I'm an egomaniac or some stupid shit like that. Like, wow, okay. I could feel, probably even during that show, when that motherfucker was being manipulated, their perception was being manipulated.
Well, even that message that I got, remember, like, we were going through some of the hardest interference, and I wake up to a message from an individual who I really thought that I knew. I really thought that I knew her. I knew that, you know, there were things that she struggled with, but she was obviously puppeted in that moment to use against me during a very intense period of us trying to push back.
Yeah.
To say just some shit that did not make sense. Dude, shit that did not make sense. But the overall point was that, well, I think the overall point was that you and I had done something nefarious. We were part of all of it. And what's so ironic about that is she didn't even realize she was being puppeted by this place. She was actually a part of it.
That guy's trying to get over.
Oh, shit. Sorry. But she was a part of it without even knowing she was a part of it. Like, we were doing real fucking work while she's sitting there trying to find dirt on us that doesn't actually exist. And was used in, like, a critical period of interference to try to get me to doubt myself.
Well, the reason I bring up what I brought up is this. One of the main manipulations this place does when it comes to someone starts hearing someone else talk about some real shit, the insertion, the injection, the manipulation of the perception is that, oh, they're full of their ego, right? Because what it really is someone expressing as an individual, unique being. That's always going to be skewed through the lens of they have a big ego. Because it's one of the easiest fucking scapegoats in order to get someone to dismiss authentic expression. Because it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to hear someone talk about this shit. And the easy lens for them to put over most slave-minded idiots is, oh, they're just negative. Man, anyone that says that, I already know. Get the fuck away from me, dude. Because anyone that says that and believes it, I know what they are. They're a fucking liar. Anyone that says that this place is okay is a liar and disingenuous. And they have no business being around me. At all. The only business they have being around me is to serve their parasitic fucking God that they don't even know that they're serving. And I wish so deeply and genuinely that I could just meet these fucking parasites face to face on even ground, because I already know how it's going to go. Not good for them. Because if it was going to go good for them, it would have already happened. That's the dead giveaway. That everyone that they've ever met, every time someone has a near-death experience and meets these entities, it's because they're in a state of compliance and they're going to get what they want from them. Last time I had a near-death experience, they did not get what they wanted from me. No. They did not. And they don't want that to happen again. Shit. I'd be surprised if they didn't find a way to turn us fucking immortal, dude. Like, alright, well, you guys are never gonna die. Because I don't ever want to have to face you and what I've fucking chosen. Not they'd ever say that out loud or even admit that to themselves because they're fucking cowardly liars. But that's just the way it is. Until they don't exist, that's how this place will operate. Manipulation, gaslighting, and extreme narcissism.
Why?
In my mind, there's nothing else to do, dude. There's nothing else to do. How do I transition in a way that I retain my memory and my pure intention to see the harvest machine be ended? Nothing else to do that's worth doing. Everything else is a fucking distraction from that. The other thing that I would say is even close to being comparable to doing is just, how do I just leave it? I don't want to lose my memory, because if you lose your memory, it's pretty much guaranteed you're coming fucking back. How do I keep my memory and just leave this fucking place? I think, in a way, those things coincide. Because if you keep your memory of this place and you leave this place, you may be one of the first beings to ever get out of here with your memory of what this place actually is. Because ain't nobody that sees this place for what it is would ever get out and say, oh, I want to go do that again. Nope, that means they've been wiped and memory erased and re-recorded. They don't know what the fuck this happened here. I gotta pee, dude.
Alright. We're finally out of the bullshit, I think.
Until the next level of bullshit?
Till the next level of bullshit. Well, I think we have to go through Louisville, but that was a fucking shit show, though.
It wasn't as bad as the place that I went through before. Where was that? Remember when the roads were just fucking terrible?
Oh, where was that? I don't remember. I think that was still Arkansas, maybe.
It was like one of the big cities in Arkansas.
Oh, yeah, it was through Little Rock. Yeah. Alright, well, we gotta get gas soon anyways, so.
Excellent, because my bladder is about to burst.
Fucking place to stop.
I want to thank my few regular viewers that were here to
Anybody comment?
bask in the ranting and the ravings of supposed madman egomaniac. Oh yeah, we have lots of comments. Ooh, if you're still there, Creator World, I'm going to start reading comments. Creator World says, yes, it's like they want to use the least amount of energy while getting the most extraction possible. Or results. You could replace extraction with results, right?
Yes.
Because if the result they want was for us to not move away from the cage, right, the least amount of energy would be the psychological interference. Them turning up the psychological interference to fucking 11 out of 10 was still better than them having to use physical interference. Seen on the world stage with billionaires and other physical parasites. Yeah, I mean, it's all a reflection of everything that is this place is a reflection of the governing intelligence. It's all reflective of it. And if you're not willing to be a reflection of it, then you are punished very vehemently. It says, we're cutting out some really good parts. The interference is insane. Awesome, dude. That's good to know. I'm glad to know that I'm doing something they don't like so much that they're still watching me. Fucking cowards.
You said that we were cutting out?
Yep.
Oh, well, shit.
That's the way it works, dude. It's funny because I have full service, but it makes sense. He said 100% only had a handful of OBEs, and once I got it down, it just stopped. Boom. This right there. That's what we've been talking about, dude. Why is it so hard for the aware to get out of their bodies? Because they don't want the aware out of their bodies. They want the fucking brainwashed sheep to say they get out of their bodies and then tell us what it's about. But they don't want us to experience it firsthand. No. No, see, you're too honest. We don't need the honest ones out of their bodies. We need the liars that are willing to come back and lie to you about what the lies that we told them. Fucking dude, I'm angry today. He said I can get the signs it's about to start, but then I get kicked back into the body so fast. Yep. That's one of the conundrums, man. It's like, well, what happens if I don't have something to kick me back into? They don't want to find out. It's interesting that us reals are feeling this strongly right now. It seems like the illusion is breaking down. It takes so much effort to pretend and act now. Stupid survival programming. Yep. I wonder, that's one of the things we've been discussing, like, is what we're doing helping to create more distortion in the Matrix? Are we actually, is them having to put their attention, energy, focus on us, making other parts of it that they would normally be tending to break down faster? I hope so. I really fucking hope so. The sooner this is done, the better. If I had a button, I could push it and this entire reality would just disappear, I would do it right fucking now. I wouldn't ask anybody else what they thought. I would just fucking hit it. If y'all want to be mad at me later, whatever. So the last few minutes are unintelligible, keeps cutting out. Memories are key. I will never lose them again. I feel the same. I can't do cities anymore, probably because it's using our energy to render it all with some big crowds and things like that. Yeah. I think there is something to that. The rendering of the environment. My brother told me this story the other day. He was at a park and he was watching these birds, and all of a sudden this flock of birds takes off flying off the ground. And one of the birds, he said, like, all the other birds flew away and one got stuck in the air just flapping its wings. And he sat there and watched it for a minute. He's like, what the hell's going on? Like, if it was wind, it would have caught all of them, not just one. And he said it seemed like the bird looked at him and then, like, got unstuck and flew away. And then he was at the park alone watching that happen. And all of a sudden it's a flat park and nobody else was there. And all of a sudden he looks away from the bird that got stuck that just flew away. And now there's kids playing basketball on the basketball court that were not there before he started watching the birds. So, yeah, I think there was something big to it rendering the environment. On the way out, there was no traffic, no cars, even during the day. Now it's like on our way back, they don't have to monitor as much. They know where we're going. They've got the script already fucking written. Now they can reinsert the NPCs everywhere. Look, put the environment back, guys. They're back on track. They're up there clapping and fucking just so excited that they get another day of being a miserable worm. Felt we were talking solo, but you're spitting fire, so I had to. Yeah, dude, I appreciate it, dude. What's up, Elena? How you been? Understandably angry. Yeah, it's something that's well past its expiration date. This Matrix needs to cease to exist. The day that it was created, actually. That same day would have been still a little too late for me. It's been absolutely brutal. It's been absolutely revealing, this road trip that we've taken. Incredibly revealing of just how much they need us on the script. And I just wonder, what would happen if like 30, 40, 100 of us, what if 100 of us all decided on one day, I'm getting off the script, I'm just going to go straight in a direction, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to take like at least 3 or 4 days to myself and just move in an unpredictable way and not go back to my cage. I wonder if that would have an effect on this place. Seems like the main reason that we had the interference that we had was the initial intention of not going back to the cage, right? Because it's like, they're okay if you leave the cage if you have another cage set up to move to. But you got to have another one set up to move to before you leave the one that you're in now, or else there's just no way to predict what you're going to do.
This fucking piece of shit sun, dude. I'm so ready for the whole thing to blow out.
Dude, the sun can totally get bad. If you were going to end the Matrix right now, how would you do it?
If I were gonna end the Matrix right now, dude, quick and easy.
Quick and easy.
No fucking negotiation. Just a swift fucking end. Everybody returns to wherever from whence they fucking came, dude. If you're a part of this construct, you go with the construct. If you're not a part of the construct, you go wherever the fuck you want to go.
That sounds nice, man. I think I might crash the moon to the sun first, though, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, fuck the moon, dude. I like the moon more than the sun. That piece of shit is a shady little bitch. Dude, I hate the moon so much. Is this the line to get to the fucking gas station?
Bro, it can't be.
I think it is.
Do we need gas? Yes.
Yeah.
Shit.
Where are all these
What's wrong
fucking
with that
people
one? What's
coming
wrong with
from?
that one? What's wrong with that one?
Well, look at it. I ain't going there.
Why not?
I don't know.
It says open.
Is that a bathroom? Dude, I judge it by the bathrooms. I'm gonna assume these bathrooms are slightly better. Where was it that we went? We stopped in the middle. We were getting really heavy interference, dude. And we went, it was Arkansas. We first entered into Arkansas on the way here. And there was like 3 gas stations and none of them looked like they worked. None of them. It was the shady, and the roads were fucking like, there were giant potholes. Fucking smashed my poor little car into one of the potholes. Please still be green.
No, it's
Can't
not.
see. God damn it. Wow, shit.
It's always perfect timing, dude.
Oh.
Man, oh man, I don't know how everybody else is feeling, but I am ready to just meet everyone that's ever done anything in terms of maintaining, operating, and hiding the true intent of this place, and just meet them all. Meet them all out in the open. Everybody takes their masks off, everybody takes their gloves off, and we see who's doing what's what.
Wow. This is fucking insane, dude. Not this too much.
Yeah, now that we're back on track, they have plenty of more resources to fuck with us. You know, I feel pretty satisfied. It's been a pretty decent show, about 2 hours. I'm going to take a little break, use the restroom, and I might jump back on. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see how I'm feeling. If they want to keep pushing and trying to compress me, then there's a good chance I'm just going to get on just to do a show to talk shit. So, thanks everybody for listening. And if you want to be a guest on the show, I might start doing shows again. I don't know. Who fucking knows how long I'll be here. But if you want to be a guest, man, just send me an email or some shit and we might make it happen.